Packing lunches 5 days a week can feel like a full-time job, and most of us already have one. And as a teacher who packs her lunch every single day too, my lunches have to be practical, budget-friendly, and not take up my whole Sunday. And as part of my day, I have lunch duty, so trust me, I see what kids eat, what gets swapped, and what gets thrown in the trash. By the time Wednesday rolls around, most of us are over it. And sometimes the culprit is too many ingredients, too much prep, and then you just fall back on packaged snacks. And that right there is why I stopped meal prepping and started meal sequencing. And it's totally different than a rigid meal plan because there's less pressure and more flexibility. You buy once, you prep once, and then you roll the ingredients into each other day by day. And that right there is the cheat code to keep lunches from becoming stressful. But first, let me give you a taste of what's coming up. Ranch chicken pasta salad, apple crunch wraps, a chicken Caesar deli box, and Friday sweet and savory lunch snack. And all of these are cold safe, they're well balanced. And because I still haven't outgrown having a little treat in my lunch, there's a sweet rotation too. And we're gonna batch the treats once on Sunday and then remix them all week long. Okay, so before we get into the recipes, I just wanna pause and talk about why this meal sequence actually works. Because what I'm doing is not with a focus on making Pinterest pretty lunches. I am prioritizing a system that works for busy weeks. So sorry, not sorry, I'm not here to give you some trendy bento box or some rainbow packed mason jar salad. Because when you click on those recipes and realize you need 45 ingredients, half of what you'll never use again, and your grocery bill has ballooned to $200, that's how you get to Wednesday burnt out with half the produce slimy in the fridge. And then you're back to throwing chips and string cheese in a lunchbox. Hey! I have been there. And what I do different now is pair two things. What's in season in the produce section with pantry staples that you likely already own. Yeah, so for right now, August or early fall, we're talking things like apples, grapes, cucumbers, carrots, tomatoes. And you have already seen these sale stickers when you walk into the grocery store because they're being pushed everywhere this time of year. And it's not just a price win, it's a nutrition win too. And that's because seasonal food is always at its peak flavor and nutritional density. So to do all this, you don't need coupons or a giant shopping list. You've just got to lean toward what's abundant. And here's the best part, it doesn't even matter where you shop. So if you're a Costco girl, go ahead and grab the bulk packs. And if it's Aldi, you'll find those deals front and center. Publix, Food Lion, Winn-Dixie, same story. And so wherever you are, you can shop this plan without hunting down specialty items. Cause I ain't got time for that. And I'm guessing you don't either. Now you've heard of keep it simple, right? Well, that method works for a reason, and that's what we're gonna do here. So what that means is we're working with the core list of produce, a single protein, and just a few pantry staples that are gonna carry us the entire week. And the variety is gonna come from how we spin it, not the number of ingredients that we use. Because you don't need a totally new recipe every single day, you just need enough creativity to make it feel different. That's the secret. A little Dijon here, sprinkle some walnuts there, and suddenly it feels brand new without doubling your workload. But also, honestly, I will say this, there are some weeks where I eat the same thing 3 days in a row, heck, all week. Because I'm teaching, I'm busy, and honestly, it's just like not a priority to me. But of course, when I do want variety, I've just learned how to leverage small tweaks. And those small shifts are enough to like trick your brain into thinking, oh, this is totally new, even though it's coming from the same core prep. Okay, so I know a few of you might ask, well, how do I actually know what is in season in my area right now? And I've got you covered. I put together a printable download and I'll email that to you. It's got a list of what's in season right now so you can shop smart and stay on budget. And if you love this style of meal planning, I send out a new full sequence every single week in my Dinner's Done dispatch. And that's where you find the complete shopping list, the substitutes, the swaps, and the meal sequences all ready to go. It's kind of like me sitting in your kitchen and saying, here's your game plan for the week. So right now, we're gonna spend 30 minutes doing some very light prep, like shredding chicken, cooking some pasta, chopping some produce, and then lastly, we're just gonna make a little batch of some snack balls. And then that is it. That's all it takes to get 5 totally different lunches throughout the week, so let's do it. Okay, so before we dive into the recipes, let me show you how I organize all of this because this step is going to make the system doable for you. Now, I know this doesn't look cute, but remember how I told you earlier that I prioritize functionality? So what I like to do is take all of the ingredients that I'm going to use for lunches that week, and I stick it all in one big bin. That way, I'm not digging around trying to find the cucumber that rolled to the back of the fridge. Nope, I take out this bin. So basically, if it's cold and it's for lunch, it lives here. Okay, so for our protein, we've got our shredded rotisserie chicken, along with a little deli turkey for Friday, along with some optional boiled eggs and optional bacon. The condiments we're going to use include some Dijon mustard, along with some mayo and some hummus, plain Greek yogurt, and some ranch dressing. And then for dairy, you're going to need some Parmesan cheese, some cheddar cheese. This is more than enough. I need to use up this shredded cheese first, then I'll move to my block cheese. Mozzarella. Any sliced cheese will do. I just happen to have Gouda. I switch up my cheeses all the time. And this is optional, avocado if you like it. So I actually, well, in addition to buying like the actual like avocados, I like keeping these on hand. You can get these, lots of brands sell them, and like you can get them regular or like flavored or, you know, spicy and that kind of thing. But I like that these are ready to go and I'm not like forced to use them, right? And so it's just a way to always have like avocado at the ready because they keep in your fridge for weeks. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the produce that we'll use. I have this little bag of parsley that I grow it in my garden, so that's why I have it there, but you can absolutely use dried. And then you need some type of lettuce, so I'm just using romaine. You're also going to need a few apples and cucumbers along with some grapes. We've got some carrots in here, a few stalks of celery, and then some tomatoes. Now remember, I'm giving you a list of substitutes that you can use. So again, you do not have to feel locked in. But I hope from the spread that I just showed you that you're not feeling like, oh man, like these are things that I normally don't buy or wouldn't have like multiple other uses in your kitchen cooking. Okay, yeah, so this is your lunch meal prep fridge bin. So let's go ahead and put this in the fridge. So not only do I have a fridge basket, but I also keep a countertop basket. And these are going to be all of the shelf-stable ingredients that I'm going to use throughout the week. And I'm going to tell you this, y'all, this is a real kitchen, not a show kitchen. And so my kitchen is most of the time like tidy enough, but again, and maybe this was just like my own little pet peeve, I don't like the act of like when I'm getting stuff together, like half of your time can just be spent like going to get this, then adding this, then getting this. Oh no, I don't have this. I ain't got time for that. And so I just like keeping this. Like do yourself a favor. Keep that right on the counter. What you need, what you're reaching for, and it just makes your life so much easier. You know, that's just my 2 cents because I think that your kitchen needs to be set up to help you crank out meals, not for decor. I mean, because quite honestly, that is the scorecard that I am keeping. And in that department, my townhouse kitchen is a hero. All right, so you're gonna need some chickpeas, also known as garbanzo beans, some sunflower seeds. Next, you want to go with almond or even cashew butter, especially if your kids are attending a school that is like nut-free and they can't bring things like peanut butter products. Maple syrup, crackers, any type that you have will work. Pasta, any type that you have will work. Some dates, some little slider rolls, and some tortillas. These are a low-carb spinach variety that I picked up from Aldi. And I'm keeping my basket right here. And you're also going to need some oats. I'll keep those right there. Okay, and that's it. Simple, real-life organization. Now let's get cooking. Let me go ahead and clarify this. You can absolutely start with a rotisserie chicken that you just pick up fully cooked from the grocery store. But try doing this. So a lot of grocery stores will actually mark down their rotisserie chickens at the end of the day. And that's when you should buy them and then just put them in your freezer, right? Like they're already cooked so you can just thaw and then shred them when you're ready. But the cheapest option is always just to roast them yourself. So I'll just get, like 1 or 2 whole chickens, put them in my cast iron skillet, throw a little bit of seasonal salt on them, and then just like leave them to bake for an hour while I go ahead and do whatever. And that's my preference because I am absolutely going to save those carcasses to make stocks for soups. But either way, chicken is the backbone for all of these lunches. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and start with our Sunday prep. I need you to go ahead and turn on a burner. Grab a pot and then fill that pot with enough water so we can boil the pasta. Now grab that lunch bin from the fridge. So go ahead and grab your shredded chicken And then what I'm gonna do is divide our full portion of shredded chicken into, you can either use like bowls with lids, or I'm just gonna use some bags, because we're going to need one for the sliders that we're making, and then for the pasta, and then another one for the wraps. And I just like doing that so that I can already see in advance, you know, my ingredients for what's what. Ta-da! Okay, so I know that we all want something sweet at the end of a meal, and this is gonna do it. So instead of buying overpriced cookies or snack bars, we're gonna make a batch of my September snack balls, is what I'll call them. I know I'm horrible at like naming stuff. I try, but they're like dates and oatmeal. Like you know what's going on here. And these are super simple to make. You're gonna start off with some rolled oats. And then you're gonna add your soaked dates that have been blended until they're smooth. All right, let's go ahead and coat the oats and the date mixture together. All right, now we're gonna add some almond butter, along with a drizzle of our maple syrup. And then we'll sprinkle in some sunflower seeds, but you could also use pumpkin or whatever seeds you prefer. And then we'll also just add a pinch of cinnamon. Now you're just gonna wanna add a pinch or two of sea salt, and it just helps to bring out the flavors. Let's go ahead and mix everything together. Oh my goodness, this smells so good. So what is totally optional is you could add finely chopped apple, which we already have for this week, or even like dried fruit if you had that on hand, like, ooh, dried pear for like a fall vibe. Okay, y'all, so this next step is totally optional, but you know that I love to add supplements to food we're actually eating, because like I don't always go out of my way to make like a smoothie and stuff like that. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just add in some lion's mane. It's a supplement that it doesn't have a strong taste, but the color is gonna blend right in, so my family won't even know that it's in here. I'm adding like a tablespoon. And then I'm also gonna add this blend of turkey tail mushrooms as well, which is a pre and probiotic. And I like doing stuff like this because it doesn't feel like I'm going out of my way on top of like just the regular meals that we eat, you know, to like get our supplements in. Okay, so whatever you're gonna add in, go ahead and do that now, because after this step, we're just gonna put this mixture in the fridge so it can chill for just like 10 minutes, and then we're gonna roll it into balls. Okay, I'm gonna take this to the fridge. So as you can see, that was just enough time to get our water to a soft boil. So we're gonna go ahead and add our pasta. And again, you just want something small like shells or rotini. I'm actually using these little cavatappi. I love these, especially when I find them on sale. So they're just curled. Okay, so the noodles are done. So let's go ahead and we're going to drain off the excess water. And then we're also going to rinse them in cold water. So now I'm just gonna add our cooked pasta to another container because we're not eating this until Tuesday. And lastly, you just wanna drizzle this with a little bit of olive oil to keep it from sticking. And then you're just gonna store it plain. Okay, so we're just gonna make sure that the olive oil is incorporated. Okay, now grab your September snack balls from the fridge, and we're just gonna roll them into balls. So just grab whatever containers you wanna store them in for this. As you have probably noticed, I use a lot of like collapsible storage just because, again, I don't have the biggest kitchen. And so I love stuff like this, silicone, things that really enable me to maximize my space. All right, so I'm just gonna roll them into sizes like this. Again, it's your preference. Let me tell you, these already smell so amazing. Oh my goodness. Like the cinnamon and like the dates are just coming through. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's where we're landing. I have 15 of these snack balls. And then I'm definitely the person who likes to Cut once, measure twice. Is that the same? Yeah, okay. You know what I mean. Okay, and so I went ahead and I took the leftover batter and I'm just gonna freeze this so that next time when I go to have like another sweet treat, maybe I'll switch it up for next week, but then I'll come back to this. Bam, like it's already ready. So these just go in the fridge. Boom. Okay, friends, so we're going to start the week with something that everyone loves, which are our chicken slider rolls. And these are so familiar and filling, and they don't get soggy. Now, I will say that Hawaiian rolls are great for this recipe, but don't even get caught up on that. You could do any small type of roll. This could even be sandwich bread. So you're just going to slice them open, or do what I do and just kind of pop them open. Now, this is just me, but I'm going to be adding Dijon on one side and then mayo on the other. And then you're going to layer with a slice of cheese, so whatever you're using. So I'm just going to fold this down, put my cheese there. And then next you're going to add your chicken. Then grab your romaine. And all right, our beautiful slider sandwiches are finished. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pack this into my bento box for tomorrow because it actually is Sunday for me. So we are getting my lunches done in real time. Okay, so obviously you can take the tomato that we also have on our ingredient list. And if you wanted to go ahead and add those to the sandwich, of course you could. If you have a pickier eater and they prefer, pickles, then that's what you're gonna go ahead and add. So like if you're packing this for yourself, here's some things that you could do. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add in this little avocado pack because I'm gonna like, the taste of that on my sandwiches. But you could absolutely use a whole grain bun instead of a slider bun, or you could add a couple of thin slices of red onion. And if you've got it, a piece of bacon. And then suddenly it feels like a sandwich that you paid $12 for, but you made it at home in just a couple of minutes. Okay, so my bento box has 2 compartments. This is the top one. And this is a lunch that you would be, more than proud to like take out and just eat. So we're gonna pair this lunch with a few of our red grapes, and then we're gonna sneak in one of those power balls that we just made. And boom, just like that, Monday's lunch is done. Now I've got my lunch here, but guess what? There are already people that have put in their lunch orders for like Jimmy John's or like a couple of like restaurants that are in the area. And like your sunk cost is at least $15. But I'm getting ready to have a lunch that's not only going to hydrate me, but actually like satiate my appetite. And it's really good. And it cost me maybe I'm packing my lunch every day for like under $3. Okay, so I'm gonna actually roll right into Tuesday's meal because when I'm in the kitchen, I like to be as dangerous as possible. And I have a couple of containers that I use just so I can kind of like get ahead and I don't feel like I'm cooking every meal like every day. And so we're gonna go ahead and take the pasta. Like this is gonna be my container, my lunch for Tuesday that I'll go ahead and make. And this is just like the bowl that I quickly cleaned out that we made our little snack balls in. So we're just gonna take our pasta. So these noodles are the base for our ranch chicken pasta salad. And believe me, this is one of those lunches that feels like a real meal because it's filling, it is cold friendly, and it doesn't get soggy by the time lunch rolls around. So now we're gonna go ahead and add in the rest of from the first bag, the shredded chicken. And then we're gonna sprinkle in some shredded cheddar. And you're not gonna mess this recipe up without measuring first. It just depends on like, the ratios and the density of flavor that you want. So feel free to use more or less chicken, more or less cheese. Okay, we're just gonna mix this around so we can see what we're working with. Okay, so here's the fun part. Now you're gonna add in some ranch dressing and just a few like tablespoons to coat things. Okay, so we can always add more of an ingredient. So let's go ahead and just mix that to combine to see what our hydration is looking like. Oh, so this is actually perfect. Okay, so at this part of the recipe, I need you to stop because at this particular junction, we have a couple of different ways that we could take things. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you this. So if you are making this for kids that are picky eaters, keep it simple and go ahead and just stop here. And then maybe what you want to do is just pair it with some crackers. Because I'm telling you, what I see on Lunch Duty is that if you add something to this salad that your children don't like, they're going to spend half of their lunch period picking and combing out things or not even eat it at all. So you'll absolutely use this recipe, but for your kids, this is the exit ramp. So go ahead and take a container and siphon off some of this now. But for us grown-ups, I like to go ahead and add in chickpeas. Oh, okay. And so before I forget, the way that you're going to have this pasta salad last is you actually don't want to like drench this in your ranch dressing on Sunday night. So when I was showing you like the texture shots earlier, you want to keep it, I mean, not dry, okay, not all the way dry, but like just, yeah, like a little bit lighter maybe than you normally would. And then you just kind of like freshen it up, like either that morning before you leave or like right before you go to eat it. So I just got one of these and like, I feel like they were hanging on like the grocery aisle or whatever. And I really do like these, you know, like for condiments and stuff. And so I'll just put some in here and I'll pack this with the pasta salad. In go the chickpeas. I'm also going to add some diced cucumber. And then I'd also recommend adding parsley or dill. Again, this can be fresh or dried. Oh yeah, now this is looking like a version that I love. So let's go ahead and just mix everything together. Okay, so this morning for breakfast, I just made an entire like pan of bacon because I knew that I could just, you know, add the leftovers to this dish. So now it's like a chicken bacon ranch pasta salad. And so, yeah, I would encourage you to do that. If you have, you know, you can definitely combine your proteins here. So if you wanted to add, you know, if you had salmon or tuna would also be really good in here. I mean, it's pasta salad, so you got options. I'm actually going to hit this with just a little bit of pepper. And now I'm just going to spoon in Tuesday's lunch. Oh, like this is such a relief doing things like this. And it's hardly taking me any time, but this is what like leads to a morning that doesn't feel rushed and fueling myself well throughout the workday. All right, so our pasta salad is finished. This is mine, this will be my husband's, and then this is the leftover that we have for the rest of the week. Now let's go ahead and spin our savory sweet snack. And so we're just gonna take either one or two of your snack balls, and we're just going to take this and crumble it up. Actually, I'll just keep it here in this bowl. So yeah, you just want to go ahead and crumble this back up. And then it is going to kind of harden a little bit on you once you put it back in the fridge. So we're going to make this feel like trail mix. So you want to grab those kind of fixings. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some coconut flakes. And then I also have some of these no sugar like cacao chips and then just some regular raisins. Now, if you have dried fruit, you can absolutely add that in. So pieces of like chopped pineapple or mango would be absolutely amazing in this recipe. And now we'll sprinkle in some chocolate. Okay, just kidding. We are gonna go ahead and swap these raisins for craisins. Okay, let's go ahead and just crunch this up. Okay, so actually I just grabbed some pumpkin seeds because I think I wanna add some of those. All right, friends, so here's our beautiful trail mix blend. And I am not kidding when I tell you that at the store, this would probably sell for like, I'm probably not exaggerating by much, like $12.99 an ounce or something ridiculous like that. And this tastes so good. And again, it's not going to be the same dessert that we just made for Monday, but it was easy enough with a few additions to make it like taste brand new. So actually this has, now you have like that sweet tart combination from the craisins. And then like the coconut, I don't like coconut on its own, but like mixed into things like a trail mix or like bread coating or something like that, I can do it and it works. And then you've got like the new crunch additions from like the pumpkins that we just added. This is really good. Now, you know, I can't help myself, but I'm going to go ahead and I say sneak in, but not really. I am going to go ahead and just toss in, can you see here? This is just ground flax, just like a little bit of it, because when you add it, like you don't immediately discern what it is. It doesn't taste or it doesn't change like the taste profile. Or if it does, it's subtle because like flax is already kind of like nutty. And so this is just a way to like add in more omega-3s Oh, this is gonna be so good. So boom, just like that, lunch is done. Now see how easy that was? It's Sunday and we've gotten through Tuesday in less than 30 minutes with a kitchen that doesn't look crazy. And that's why I love this system, because I'm not thinking about lunch until Wednesday. And when I do head back into the kitchen, it's gonna get me clear through Friday. So we have moved on to our second day of lunch, and let me tell you, it has already been like, I'm really dressed down, as most of the staff is, because at the beginning of the school year, it's all about kind of like brief meetings, and then like you're setting up your classroom. For me, I'm distributing like books to like all the classroom teachers and moving from one room to the next. And so I have definitely worked up an appetite, and I like this meal because it's going to be like slow releasing, nourishing carbs, but like it's hot outside. I'm hot moving in the building, so I'm not yet ready for like something that's hot and then gonna like weigh me down the rest of the day. So I actually am enjoying that this is a cold salad, but also very refreshing. This is just, it is so good. There's so much flavor going on here. It's easy just to like take a couple of spoonfuls. Maybe I'll dart out. I'm so sorry, I'm talking with my mouth full. This is my actual like lunch break, and I've been kind of working through it. But I love this salad. Hey y'all, it's Wednesday and the work week so far has been busy, but also really productive, which is why I'm so glad that when I get home and I think about the things that I need to do, around the house, that chores like cooking aren't taxing. And I'm still reaping the benefits from the Sunday version of me that did the lunch prep. So go ahead and grab your lunch bin. Now, let me start off by saying that even though it's Wednesday, there is not going to be any midweek slump around here, because what we're going to be making is still fresh, it's sweet, and it's crunchy. So you're going to need to grab your wraps, because we're going to be making apple chicken crunch wraps. All right, so you're just going to go ahead and start your little assembly line. And now, of course, your tortillas are going to be anything you want them to be, whether they're, gluten-free or flour, whole wheat, whatever. Now, in the center here, you're just going to put a dollop of your ranch dressing or your plain Greek yogurt. And I'm going to use some Greek yogurt for mine and ranch for my husband. Yeah, it's just like a little hefty dollop there, and then spread that around in the center. And then you're going to go ahead and grab, for me, this is my second bag of chicken that we partitioned out. And so we're going to add some chicken there. Then you'll need to get one of your carrots and an apple. And then I'm just going to take this whole carrot and snap it like that, because what I'm going to do is create like my own matchstick carrots. This is just like the cheat way. So I'm just going to take this little thing. The name of this is escaping me. It's a peeler, right? Yeah. And then you're just going to like add some of your shredded carrots here. And believe me, it's not going to taste overly carroty. It's going to give you this nice crunch, which you want with this wrap. And it's also going to lend like a bit of sweetness. It's also a great way to kind of, I'm hesitant to use like phrasing like sneak in vegetables, because this actually tastes like really great. It's just enough to add that nuance and flavor, but it's not going to overwhelm the dish, even if you're someone who doesn't like raw carrots, especially because they're so thin. Okay, so you'll end up with something like this. And of course, you can absolutely buy the matchstick carrots if you want, but I like having carrots in my fridge kind of like as a fridge staple, and the full-size carrots are just more versatile. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing with the apple, which depending on the variety that you get can add like a contrasting tart flavor if that's the variety that you prefer and choose, or it's gonna just give it a more dynamic kind of sweet and crunchy taste that also just feels especially seasonal this time of year. And now we're gonna sprinkle this with just a little bit of mozzarella cheese. Oh my goodness, that classic combination of like apple and cheese with the chicken, y'all, it just works. It brings it all together. And then bam, once you have this, you are going to stop, because this is your base. And then from here, you got some options. So the way you roll these, and mine are always like, they're just overly stuffed. I didn't do too bad on this one. You just tuck the ends in, and then you're just gonna wanna make sure that you roll everything together and then store it seam side down. Boom, that's all you want. Here's the seam. Just make sure it's seam side down so it stays closed. Now, if you have kids, you might want to go ahead and just slice these wraps so that they kind of look like little pinwheels. And then they're bite-sized and they're fun. And they kind of look like sushi rolls, especially when you put them like in their little lunchbox and we have these all kind of like, you know, tucked together like this. It's easy for them to like also grab this without like the whole entire burrito falling apart. So essentially your kid's lunchbox is gonna look something like this. And as I mentioned, these are great for kids or adults. Okay, so now let's talk about the adult version of this. And this is where you can go ahead and just add some of your Dijon because it's just gonna pair so nicely with the apple and the chicken that's there. So just a little bit. And then I love the classic combination, like that taste of apples with chopped walnuts. So I'm going to go ahead and then it's going to add this fun crunch. So these are already finely chopped walnuts. So you know what? I actually wish that I had some arugula because like even that would be really good. But then just by doing this, you can see how it suddenly goes from like lunchbox to like cafe special, at least for me. And then just a little tip if you're making them the night before like I am. So I'll probably make 2 of these for my lunch and then put 3 in my husband's lunchbox. You can take just the smallest amount of foil because I'm not big on disposables, or maybe it's parchment paper or whatever you're using. And you don't have to you don't always have to wrap the whole thing, right? And so sometimes what I do, and this makes it really good for just like eating quickly, because sometimes I'm eating and I'm like doing things on the computer at work. It's not ideal, but like it just, it's just a working lunch. And I kind of like doing this. And then I will just take like this foil, because we'll probably go ahead and have something like this, for 2 days, and just put it back in my lunchbox. And then that way, while I'm eating, checking emails with one hand and then like eating with the other, it works. Okay, so go back to that piece of carrot that we're using, get your peeler, and then go ahead and peel, I don't know, like maybe 1/4 cup of your carrot, and then take a knife and just roughly chop up those long shreds. Now, believe it or not, this is the beginnings of our sweet snack. So go ahead and grab your September snack balls. All right, so we've got our snack balls here, and then you're gonna need like a muffin liner. So preferably if you have either have you seen like the individual silicone muffin liners that actually stack? I don't have those, but they would work for this. And then I also see like a lot of kids at lunch, like their moms will put those in their lunchbox. But y'all know I already have these, and this is gonna work like just fine for what we're doing. So you can use this. What else could you do? Or you can even just use like the disposable paper ones. And you're just gonna go ahead and take a snack ball, place it into your muffin thing. So I'll just go ahead and do 2. Take a spoon and mash it like so. And then sprinkle your shredded carrot on top. And since we're kind of evoking like the carrot cake feel, we're just gonna go ahead and sprinkle with a little bit of cinnamon. And now you can absolutely top with some more of your chopped walnuts. But what I'm going to do, since I like to mix things up, oh, here they are, is I have some basil seeds. They are very similar to like how you would just use chia seeds. These are extremely nutrient dense. They have omega-3s. They're very high in fiber, high in a multitude of antioxidants. They're great for your blood sugar. I mean, and you just need a little sprinkling of them. So I'm going to add those on top just for like visual interest. Like that's all you need. Even though half of them landed outside the liner. That's okay. We're going to pop these in the freezer, and in the morning, we're just going to like pop them out and they'll be like hockey pucks. Of course, by the time you go to lunch, especially if they're like, even if they are refrigerated or not, they'll be ready to chew. But we have just made our own carrot cake oat bars. And just like that, we're ready to move on to Thursday's lunch, which is such a treat. It might be my favorite out of all of these because it's kind of like an adult Lunchable, when in actuality, it's kind of like a chicken Caesar deli box. So I like to start with a layer of our chicken. Then you're gonna add a big old handful of your grape tomatoes, followed by a generous sprinkling of your Parmesan cheese. Then we're gonna add a layer of our lettuce on top. And I like to put it on top just because, again, I'm gonna be making this a day or two before, and this just helps to keep it crunchier. And then boom, you're actually gonna wanna go ahead and stop here because I'm thinking something like if you had kids, you might wanna separate everything. Think little compartments. So maybe you have like the chicken here, the lettuce there, the tomatoes here, or maybe like completely on the side. And then you can add the dip and let them build it however they want. Okay, so go ahead and grab your crackers because in a dry section, you're gonna wanna go ahead and add a few. And then we'll go ahead and add our dip off here to the side. Now for the adult twist, this is where those boiled eggs that I mentioned earlier come in. And so I just think those are going to be great with this. And you know what? You could actually add chickpeas to this too, and that would taste really, really good. Thursday's lunch is done. Okay, so now let me show you what we're going to make for our dessert on Thursday. So you're just gonna take a container along with your Greek yogurt and add a couple of spoonfuls of this right on in. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and flavor this, because we are using plain, you could absolutely do that. You could add a little bit of honey to this or cinnamon. You could stir in a little vanilla bean paste, whatever it is you want to do. So you have this, and then we're gonna, here it is. Ugh. We're gonna go ahead and you're gonna grab a snack ball or two. You're just gonna crumble, or this is a butter knife, y'all, and I'm not gonna cut all the way, through to my hand. But you just go ahead and crumble some of your Power Ball right over top. Like so. And yeah, this is totally like you're having a little parfait moment. You could drizzle honey on top. I don't think you need to because these balls are already like sweet enough from the dates and the maple syrup that we used. So this is going to be your dessert. What a fun treat. This could also just go ahead and double as your breakfast. Really, all of these desserts could. And yes, that is kind of intentional because I need to be to work a little bit earlier on Thursday. And so I just like having this as a fallback in case, I'm going to have to like chop out other things that I normally do in the morning before work, which is fine. But I know that fueling myself and eating well isn't going to be one of them. So here's the build. First, you can slice up your apples and you can take the block cheese and just roughly cut it into cubes. This is cheaper than buying it already cut and cubed for you because you get more. And look, it takes you a minute to make your own cheese bites. Come on now. Now, this is all the chicken that I'm going to have left for Friday because, I also made my husband's meals. And so I'm trying to stretch it a little bit. You may find that you had like just enough, but if you don't, again, we are not stressing around here. So I'm just going to make these little like skewers here. So we have the chicken and then we're going to add a little bit of cheese and then some of the grapes, just like that. Let's keep this going. If you haven't had something like this, let me tell you, these are so good. Now, the sliced turkey that we got was my backup because, again, it just lets me know in my mind that by the time Friday rolls around, like I can still have something that is not going to require, lots of assembly. The stove is turned off. I'm working with ingredients that are coming out of a bin. So I'm just going to create some turkey roll-ups. So I'm just using 2 slices of the classic turkey breast with 2 slices of Gouda cheese. All right, so we have our chicken skewers, our turkey roll-ups, a side of crackers. I went ahead and bagged up some celery and tomatoes. And then I'm just gonna scoop some of our hummus in for a dipping sauce just to like tie everything all together. Now we're each only gonna have 2 of these balls left and then I won't have any more. But one thing that I really love doing is taking apple slices and then spreading this over top. Oh, it's so good. It's like a cold, it's not oatmeal. It's not that, but there definitely is like that apple oatmeal peanut buttery combination with the crunch. It works. Now here's the part that you're gonna love, because in our lunch bin, we do have the remaining ingredients for the week, except that that's not really what this is. So what I see here are things that are pantry or kitchen staples in my kitchen anyways, right? A variety of cheeses, yogurt, crackers, you know, condiments. And so that's all I'm really left with at the end of the week. And I easily know that they are going to be folded into other meals. And so then you just take the little containers that we just made. And when I get up on Friday morning, I'm literally just going to throw all these assembled, you know, little charcuterie bags into our lunch boxes. And then we're ready to go. And now I take this bin and put it right back in the fridge. And there you have it, a simple, practical lunch sequence made with everyday ingredients. And now you can just rinse, repeat, and of course, tweak it to your family's needs. Now for more ideas, click the link for the Dinner's Done dispatch, and for extra inspiration, click the video on your screen. I'll see you in my kitchen or garden soon. Take care, friends.